Oh, mate.
What's going on? You alright?
Yeah, I'm just waiting. Rick's on the request as well,
Oh,
but
cool.
sometimes it's like, yeah, there you go. I think that's all right.
Yeah.
He's like, he's like stuck to the wall, and he's Spider-Man. What's going
Yeah,
on?
do you all sideways and that?
What's going on?
There
Can you
he
see
is.
me all
Hey,
right?
uh, not really, mate. You're kind of sideways.
Flip it out the other side, bruv.
Huh?
Your phone, flip it.
Yeah,
The other
hold
way.
on. This way.
There you go.
Right.
Oh,
So
nah.
this way.
That's
You're
it.
gonna
There you go.
right. Do you know why I can't do it this way? Because I'm trying
What?
to charge my phone up.
Ah,
Oh,
bumper.
really?
That's not
Yeah.
good.
So my battery's not gonna last very long. Because yeah. Let's just try it out.
Give
Let's
it a
just.
go, see how it happens.
How's it going, lads?
Yeah, not bad,
All
mate. You
right.
alright?
Yeah,
I'll see
right.
if it'll work. It's probably gonna fall over. I have to hold it.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Let me try and start getting some things to like
Wonky
prop it up.
donkey.
So I'll keep it moving with Steve, mate. You find like a book or
Yeah.
something to lean up against, or
Okay.
old school, mate. Like old school pirate. Remember back in the day, like trying to get pirate radio. I used to have this radio, and I'd kind of extend the aerial with like coat
Yeah,
hangers and
yeah.
flipping,
It's
stack
feeding
it
like
on
that
chairs to get
right
it
now.
higher and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Right. It's feeding like that. A bit like that. Hmm. Well, how comes I can't see you guys?
You can't see us.
I can't see Andrew.
No.
I can see you, Rick, but I can't see Andrew.
Okay, well I can see you all, so that's hopefully that's the street. That's what's going on. So everyone that's
Yeah.
viewing, can you see all three of us, please? Just let us know in the chat. That'd be awesome because having a few gremlins. Normally we do. I know you can obviously do multiple people on the calls, but generally we do two. So if you just let us know in the chat if you can see Steve, Rick, and myself, that'd be awesome.
All right.
I think so because I can see all of us. So yeah, sweet. Anyway, so welcome, Seraphim, Steve, Rick.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Easy. You alright?
Yeah, all good. Just quickly before we get stuck in, anyone that's in the chat, just if you can let us know where you're from and where you're at, that would be awesome. And there's a little paper aeroplane at the bottom right if you just blow up a few inboxes and let people know we're live. And also, if you've got any questions for the lads, that would be good. But we're here with Seraphim, who are celebrating their new release coming out tomorrow on Nomine Sound. It's been a minute
Yeah, yeah.
since
Yeah.
the Henya EP. How long ago was that? When was the Henya EP?
I've got feelings 3 years ago.
Now
You know.
you're asking. I've got Google up, mate, so I can find out.
It's
One
those
sec.
COVID years, man. That we just lost.
Mm.
Like we all lost 2 years, didn't we? Basically, pretty much.
Yeah. I've got a feeling it was about 3 years ago now. It doesn't feel like it.
There you go. 8th October 2021.
Wow.
Mm.
Been a
So
minute,
3 years we stopped.
mate.
Mm.
So we've had first time we spoke. We did an interview on Subtle. That was like before the Henry EP. Then we did a live. So we'll just get stuck into kind of what you've been doing, man. Where you been, guys? Yeah.
Working. Day job.
Yeah, pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah,
9 to
that's
5,
it,
got the whip out.
Yeah. Yeah.
man.
But yeah, no, sort of, there's still stuff in the tank. We've still got bits coming out. We've been doing a lot of compilations recently, haven't we, Rick?
Yeah, I think we've become like the connoisseurs of compilations. We've got something coming out this year very soon as well on a compilation, the Sumerian one as well.
Yeah,
So
man.
we've been doing remixes. Well, we did a remix for Influx for one of the Tick Borrow releases towards the end. Was it mid last year?
Yeah,
Mid last year.
yeah.
Yeah. So basically we've been doing, I say, remix work and compilations.
There's
And
stuff. You just don't send me stuff anymore.
uh,
That's how I
I
don't. That's
blame
why I
Rick. I
don't
blame
know.
Rick entirely.
That's why I don't know. Oh,
yeah.
really? Where's all this music?
All right. I need to be a bit better, Steve. Well,
Now, listen, Rick, you've been a star, mate. Because obviously, well, you both played a part at some point, but kind of as it develops, Rick kind of got into
This
some
is all
really good A and
Rick,
R
mate.
for some good little A and R for the label. So yeah, mate. So big up for that. So I can't knock you for that. But yeah, you send me loads of everyone else's tunes, just not yours.
yeah, that's pretty much the story. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, cool. So you've been doing stuff on compilations, and how have you been finding the whole? I've asked this on our last few guests actually. That's been more dubstep orientated, but how have you been finding the whole dubstep 140 scene? Has it been inspiring for you to keep pushing through, or what's the
Well,
situation?
I haven't really been out much for the last year. Been a bit quiet for myself, and so I tend to sort of stay almost in my own lane, as in, because we do like more sort of the musical side of things. I feel like I haven't been too adventurous in listening to what's been going on, apart from, I guess, maybe going into like little groups, individual groups, forums like Facebook ones, so forth and so forth, and picking out like little artists I hear here and there, and then trying to get them onto the label, basically. So in short, I haven't really been listening to the scene as a whole. I've just been listening to little pockets here and there. So I haven't got a really wide view of what's been going on recently. I'm just been more sort of just trying to find something which catches my ear. That's been my thing for like last year or so. So I wouldn't say I was necessarily the best person to ask at the moment with what's going on in the scene. I just trust in my own ears and grabbing hold of like bits I like, and hopefully that it works. I'm talking about like label wise here rather than scene wise. So that's what I've really been doing. That's a long story short. Listen to a few artists here and there, getting some good music together, trying to get it out there for the masses, sort of thing. As in going out and seeing how strong the scene is, clubbing wise, bar wise, or whatever you want to call it, like wherever the events are done. I don't really know. I don't know at the moment. Someone tell me.
But you, Steve?
Similar kind of vibe, really. One person who really stands out for me, though, is Bazura. Like, he's just coming with just so much quality and interesting music. Like, so you just big up Bazura. And obviously he's just come out and nominate sound, but I would have said that anyway. Like, and apart from that, I mean, the stuff that I've been
doing some good bits in the background. Not even necessarily the background, but yeah, Siskiyou.
Mate,
I think.
Well, you can't ignore Siskiyou at the moment. He's just like absolutely flooding the timeline, isn't he? He's bang on it, absolutely smashing bits out. But yeah, a bit like Rick, really. I've not really been sort of focused on sort of checking the scene as much, but I have been kind of like in my own little lane, production-wise, I suppose. Not necessarily caring too much about what the scene's doing. Just getting a bit creative, really. So a bit too out there, I think. Probably a bit too much in your face, like for sort of Seraphim stuff. But definitely some personal, like solo bits. I've kind of just gone. Do you know what? There's some just in your face, left field kind of stuff that I don't necessarily think will fit in an awful lot of places, but don't really care. Just going to make it anyway because I want to make it. So yeah, that's kind of been what I've been on relatively recently. That's kind of up until sort of the end of last year, really. And this year's just been finishing off a couple of bits to get an EP out for Raf, which will come out, I think, in May. So yeah, like not so much checking what's going on, but just trying to keep as active as possible, really, with the interest that I've got in it at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say the same for me. It's more, I think, just doing me at the moment, to be totally honest. Sort of same thing as Steve, where I haven't really done much solo stuff because I'm the guy who's sort of like, I do loads of whips, nice little cute whips, and I send them around to my mates and stuff like that. But this year, last year I started actually finishing a fair few bits, and I think I might start putting out, if people take my music, some solo stuff this year because I haven't really done it.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I've kind of committed myself to this year. I'm going to do it. It's just a waste, all the stuff sitting on my hard drive, you know. And I think, you know, I'll be honest with myself, there's some more stuff on there. So, yeah, I hopefully, start seeing some solo stuff myself as well. So we've been kind of doing our thing. But me and Steve are like with friends with time. So it's good to have a little break when we're all still doing Seraphim bits here and there. But it's about, you know, you got to have that balance between doing your stuff and doing you know, Seraphim. I think is healthy.
It comes naturally, doesn't it? I mean, there's no point forcing it at all. Like, it makes sense to just, you know, you work on that stuff when you want to work on it, because otherwise it's just going to get rubbish that comes out. So you've got to, you know, do that when you want to do it. And it's not like we haven't got stuff in the tank, because we've got bits in the tank. So you know, if we need to get another EP out, we can do that. So yeah, I'm
Yeah, but
not pressured. I'm not pressured. I'm not stressed. You know, it's all good. Taking time that we want to take.
Yeah.
yeah, some vocal stuff as well. Like we're getting into trying to get like a lot of our stuff vocal. So we're sitting on a couple vocal bits as well, still, which still need to be finished. But yeah, I think we've sort of almost ventured into making songs, I guess.
Yeah, well, I
As
think
in, yeah, you know, yeah, I'll say we almost were venturing in towards touching like making actual songs rather than saying this is dubstep. But, I mean, there's still dubstep, but yeah, I think we've been, you know, enjoying making a song, something melody based, vocal, that type of thing, which I think is it's a nice direction. But you know, obviously, we still like, you know, beats and bass and yeah, but
yeah. By the way, big up Bazura. I just see him pop in as well. So nice one, mate. We're just talking about you. All good though.
Yeah, man. Big up.
Um,
but,
yeah, Tefla said a similar thing when we had him on a live to what you were just saying, Steve. He just does his thing and he's not pressured and not feeling the pressure of expectations and stuff like that. And I think, you know, if you can hold on to that, it's a wonderful thing to just create and not feel the pressure. I guess, you know, what I've kind of highlighted from my own personal views on the whole dubstep 140 thing in the last few lives is I think musically, and you can't call it all dubstep because it's not. So that's why I do say 140 a
yeah.
lot of the time, because but it does fit. It certainly fits in that, you know, fits in the same under the same umbrella. I think musically, it's probably close to being the best. There's some amazing stuff out there, like 140 dubstep, really, really good. But I just feel that the club scene's not there, which is such a shame. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean? There are, don't get me wrong, there are clubs and there are really good events going on. But I just think that it's struggled to pull that back in recent years when there's so much amazing music and so many amazing artists. And another thing that I've noticed is there's people out there playing dubstep, getting loads of gigs, but they're not dubstep cool dubstep DJs. They're just artists, you know,
Mm.
that are not going out as dubstep artists that are touring the world doing loads of stuff. But then you've got dubstep artists that are not getting the gigs, that have got the ammo and
yeah,
amazingly talented sick
yeah.
DJs that are not getting the work. So it's like,
And the events I think are selling. The events are getting filled from what I've seen from videos and so forth. So you know, as in the demand is there. Just I think voters just need to put their
but
neck out a little and start
with the
investing.
I think
events though,
you can see certain areas there is like sort of quite a high concentration of events and things going on, and other areas not so much. I mean, Rick and I, ever since like, but even before dubstep, when we were on garage and stuff like that, we've been pretty deprived of live events just because where we are. Now, I saw Tef was just joined the not Tef, but my mate Tef has just joined the thing, the chat, and we were talking about this the other day. But you know, being so close to London, Chelmsford hasn't really been like a spot for sort of underground music. You got popular stuff here, but underground stuff not so much. And Tef made a good point saying it's so close to London that you don't really like. There's such a big hub there, such a, like a cultural hub there. You know, Chelmsford not being too far away from that, you can't really have some of the sort of, you know, left field underground stuff there because there's just not the demand for it, you know, because you haven't got to go too far to get to that. That made so much sense to me.
Just
So yeah, I think that sort of plays into it quite a lot. You can have people, you know, churning out some good music and not necessarily getting the gigs, and then like you say, the other side of the coin. I think it just depends on where the concentration of the events are.
like transportation wise and so forth. You know, we don't have a transportation chunks of wise to for people to get home like late in the
This is
evening
it.
or
Yeah, man.
like, and things like that. So it's hard for people to say, yeah, justify coming out of London, then having to try and get back in, or alternatively, whichever direction you're coming from. Although the actual area itself is a good area to put on events, as in it's fairly, you know, it's well populated, and there are a couple of spots where you could put events on, but it's yeah, it's just logistically, I don't, you know, so close to London. I mean, what takes half hour on a train to get into like Liverpool Street. So, you know, those are the kind of options you've got around here.
so I'm a bit out of the loop when it comes to dubstep events in the UK. I'm not going to lie. So certainly since post COVID and during COVID. But what I tend to see is you get the big nights where you might get Mala and Scream back to back selling out, or you get those sorts of events that, yeah, there's a demand for it where people will come out. What else is going on? Smaller nights and clubs that are getting packed in the UK that you know of.
I can't tell you. What you think,
I
Rick?
don't think so either. But I have a feeling from what I see, a lot of sort of maybe like more Manchester, Bristol,
Yeah. Or
than
Sheffield
Bristol's
than
for
good, yeah.
one forte lot.
yeah. I'd say it's more. It seems to me what I see seems to be more happening in those areas than actually down here towards
Yeah.
London. Which I
I
mean,
mean, go on.
yeah. And then oh, what's whereabouts? Oh God, where's sorry, where else is it? Carry on. No, I'll remember in a
Yeah, I
second
know.
what I was going to say.
Like America's, North America and America. I think the whole scratching the
Canada.
surface yeah, Canada, scratching the surface of EDM. A lot of the kids have now, acknowledged the deeper dubstep, and I think things are quite nice out there. I don't know if there's tons going on in Europe. I get the odd little thing here and there, but I just wondered. I guess just going back to my point of like they're not. It doesn't feel like there's enough of a scene, events, and people putting on the events, even around the world, to host all of this amazing music and these amazing artists that I'm hearing all the time. Just feels like that side of the scene has got so much smaller.
When we doing the Nomine sound thing then?
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared of promoting, man. I'm scared of promoting because it's hard. I take my hat off to all the promoters, and I think that's a big reason why people aren't taking what they see to be a risk, because when I don't know, like it's hard out there. Put on an
Yeah,
event, you pay for a headliner, pay for a venue, all the other thing, all the pressure of promoting. You don't sell any tickets. You've done it. I've done
Yeah.
it. I've lost thousands. One of the last main events I did, I lost like $4.5 grand. Do you know what I mean? It's
Jesus.
like
yeah.
Yeah, I
I
it's,
mean, I'm
that's
going to say,
enough to
love that.
it's enough to
Yeah.
scar you for life, man. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah, I can imagine
shout
that, mate.
shout out to Square Wave. We never forgot to mention that. We did, he's doing night. Is it Dalston?
Yeah, man, Dalston.
Is he
Then, yeah. Nice
certified?
spot, man.
Yeah. So that's happening down this way. Yeah, big up Square Wave for getting us on. I think it was the couple back. But he's pushing the 140 still down here, dubstep, and yes, good nights as
And I,
well. Yeah,
Yeah,
good
man, big up
nights.
and
Square.
The place is quite intimate as well, so it's a nice system.
is that the
Yeah,
place? Because Jay Kenzo started a night, didn't he? I think a few months back. Was that in Dalston? And he had like I don't know. Did Amit? I think Amit played.
You know what? I think I might know what you're talking about there.
Yeah, I don't know if he's done any more sit. Again, I just haven't got my ears to the ground. That's why I was asking you guys. I thought you'd probably know more than me. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, it's just I just think ultimately, if you're a promoter or you're thinking about it, do it, man. There's some wicked 140 dubstep, whatever you want to call it. There's some wicked music out there, man.
definitely.
And I think that's my point. Is like I don't think, and it is. It's I'm scared. I'm scared to promote because I've had, I've lost some cash, and it's like it's not
How big the
fun.
scene has got exponentially over, like, well, I mean, because I'm kind of type of my trumpet a day dotter almost, so to see how big it's got and the people are invested in it, and people are really invested in it as well. As in, it's not, you don't really get too much of, oh, it's cool, it's a trend, let's do this. I mean, you've had like obviously like the time of Skrillex was commercially like, I mean, it obviously still is now, and you get the followers. But I think genuinely, it has got a fairly small crowd, but people will travel to go to places to see the artists they want to see. They just need to have these outlets for people to go to. I think if you've got them, people will go. And yeah, John Forte's one. I mean, our guys. Steve? How long did it take them to get to that night that John Forte had on? However you say it, Juan Forte.
Oh,
I always
yeah,
say it
I'm
wrong.
it's ours, isn't it? It's ours.
Hours. It's hours. I mean, they get like Airbnb and stuff to travel to places. So people do it. People will do it. Just need
Yeah,
to have the events. Mm.
yeah. It's interesting because I do think the music I'm hearing is the quality, and there's some really great stuff out there. But yeah. Has anyone got any questions for Seraphim in the chat? We've just kind of just gone straight into Well, not a deep one.
Talking
We've just
our
gone
talk.
straight into it. So these tracks for the EP. So we've got Sitars and Strings, which is the title track. We've got
Yeah.
Echoes, and then the one that I can never pronounce. And
Yeah.
what's it called?
Swara Api, yeah.
Swara
It's
Api, yeah.
Swara Api. It means sound of fire in Indonesian. Basically, I typed in something like fire sound or sound of fire, and then went through Google Translate and just started. I was like, oh no, that looks rubbish. And it just found a language. I was like, hey, that sounds cool. Let's go with that.
So they choose wicked tunes. I mean, I've been playing them. I feel like I've been playing them for years.
Yeah.
How long? I probably have, haven't I?
I'd say 2 years at least, because I can't pronounce it either. Suriapi, however you say it. How old's that, Steve? That's got to be 2000 and is it end of 2001 maybe? 2000.
21, yeah.
2001. That's some good
It's
stuff right there.
mid 21, Swara Api, yeah. So around about April time that was.
Yeah.
I know because I wrote it down. 'Cause I thought I was anticipating his questions. I was like, I reckon, when are we going to make these? Yeah, Swara Api, April, Stars and Strings, December 21, and then Echoes is March 22.
So I played. I played two of them. What did I play at Deep Medi?
You played Echoes and Stars and Strings.
Yeah, I played two of them.
I never forget that.
Yeah, I played two of them at Deep Medi. I remember that, and I think I played the other one on when me and Yunks did a back-to-back on the Unearthed. The Unearthed.
Yeah, I watched that. Yeah.
I think I played all of them then, but I've had them around for a minute, and I can't believe we only just said let's put them out. What, they've been sitting there.
Because I've been concentrating on getting everyone else's music out. Yeah, in short, that's really what's been happening on my side of things regarding getting this release with you guys. Is that just I knew there's a lot of music and we'd had our turn up. We'd had our go. I just wanted to get everybody in the door and then us come back around, sort of thing.
That was all good. We're all good with that.
Yeah, we came in on earlier than we expected because a couple of releases just weren't ready. But I mean, I'd have easily happily done it earlier. I don't know about. Well, I'm sure Steve would as well. But
yeah. I was easy, mate. I was easy. Like whenever you were ready to go. It was all good with me.
Because it all could be about from you, Andrew. To be fair, like if you was to ask, so I thought if you ask us how it all came about, it's literally tunes we were putting aside for you as you were saying, I like this would fit. So this is really the only one in like the last year and a half I've really been involved in. You just like, yeah, you like it, take it like that. We've just been stashing them aside for you. So this one's you, brother.
Yeah, it's nice to have you back on the label. I really like your music, obviously, and it is related to the first EP. It's got your stamp on it, and I think you've got a nice signature sound with the kind of modern take on dubstep, but with nods to the nostalgia, the fresh production. It's not too overproduced, but it, and then it straddles the whole ethnic kind of, Eastern vibes as well, which I'm obviously a fan of, and but you still get that dance floor element as well. So you kind of tick a lot of boxes with the Seraphim sound, which I think's nice, and I think it's you can tell. I mean, there's loads of people doing the ethnic thing. There always has been, really. Ever since Hatcher back in the day was pushing that whole tribal side of it. It's always been a thing, hasn't it? But you guys are definitely bringing something fresh to that, and just more of it, please, because I think it's awesome.
Cheers,
appreciate that,
mate.
I mean, like I said, there's a lot of people doing it. I do feel we still have our own individuality within people making music of like in the genre of the style we do. With, like I said, with the ethnic origins in it. I still say that we do something maybe a little different. For instance, I would say Sitars and Strings. Like Steve's got that synth guy and wobbly synth in there. Just it's quite individual, that tune. I think it stands out quite a bit, Sitars and Strings. And something like that, I'd say,
I mean,
not everyone has. Sorry, Steve. Middle Eastern influences in their songs, but then the way that tune switches up, then and plus it's almost grime as well. So I'd say we'd still have our sound within a sound, if that makes sense, to its extent, to a degree.
I think with Stars and Strings, it was more about trying to keep, really as close to a single point of focus as possible all the way through the tune. Even though there's different elements, you've got different points coming in, but they have their time, if that makes sense, right? So you got something comes in, that's the focal point, and then something else comes in, that's now the focal point. There's no like necessarily like huge amounts of layers going on, with giving you a choice of what you're going to listen to. It's just this, then this, then this, and controlling the vibe that way. And I try to do that with echoes as well, just because I feel like you're probably more likely going to have more people feel that than kind of having it relatively busy. So yeah, lots of focus on that, and the snares for both those tunes. Really, lots of focus on the snare.
The echo snares,
Yeah,
it's a bit of a slapper.
yeah, that's it. So just trying to keep the focus on that and have a the high energy, as well as not too much like distracting you away from what the main focal point of the tune is. So yeah, both of those are quite similar in that idea.
Yeah, and that's you nail that energy, but you don't overcrowd it, and it's very tempting, isn't it, to like, if you're going for energy, to feel like you have to
Yeah.
slam loads in there to get that, because it is a way, the more you put in, you get that wall of sound, and you can create an energy, but at the same time, like you say, you can distract from what it's all about, and it can just sound messy and busy and whatever. So you do that
Absolutely.
very well, and I think that's the way you blend your musicality. I think you do that really well with the musical elements. You build things up in a way with the melodics, and then when it drops and it's cavernous and it's got heavy bass and it's stripped back, then the musicality comes back in and it builds up that euphoria. You're quite good at that, which that's a running theme through what you do that I don't hear a lot, to be fair. And you said something earlier there about straddling grime, and I found that with the first EP as well. Like, Henya's almost grimy in a way, if you think about it, and always goes on. I still play that in my 140 sets now. You know what I mean? It's so yeah, you do. I think that's a really important point, because we like a bit of energy on the dance floor, but you can be tempted to just fling the kitchen sink at it, screw the mix up, screw the concept up, and it just becomes a hot mess.
Yeah, it's an easy thing to do. I'm sure we've all done it, and I think it's one of those things that someone can even tell you, and you understand what it is they're saying to you, but you'll then get into the project or something, and you'll start trying to make try to up the energy on the tune, and the first thing you do is try to layer something else in it, and it's like, well, no, just try not to do that. Try and better strengthen the elements you've got already, and if they're not strong enough, then switch them out. And I think that is probably the most important thing, which will give you that single point for you to sort of focus on, and have you follow all the way through, really.
Yeah, maybe try and be sort of mix conscious, although like not make something too busy, just having fewer elements, stronger elements, then you're going to get less clashing of frequencies, more space for each sound.
Supporting things, not necessarily like completely different layers, but things which are going to come in and help out with that. And saturation goes a long way, man. Like, if you've got strong enough elements which are taking up quite a lot of space, and things are still sounding a little bit thin, like, I'm absolutely loving saturation. It goes a massive way if what you've got already is pretty strong.
Yeah, as long as you don't overdo it, obviously, like anything.
Yeah.
The saturations can be so nice that you can get tricked into thinking, wow, this is fat and loud, then basically you just flattened it like a pancake, and you've lost all the punch. But if you use it in the right way, absolutely, it can just buff things up, can't it, in a really nice way. Even from hi-hats, just chunky hi-hats and stuff. But I think as well, a part of that is, when we crowd a track, we almost get a bit precious, and we don't want to get rid of it because we've put that hard work in. So it's like, no, that I'm not getting rid of that. That's what I put in there, and it's almost like it's hard to let it go, isn't it? But sometimes just just stripping it out, gutting it out, creating a little sample pack. It can always come to use. But I think, like you said, we're all victim of that, trying to get the energy and just overcrowding a track.
You've got to have that honest conversation with yourself, man. You've got to sit there and go like, well, how is this stacking up? How is it sounding really? And if you're not happy, then you got to do it.
Yeah, become the listener to your tune rather than I'd say, like, separate yourself from being a producer sort of thing, and be like, okay, so I'm listening to this as though it's somebody else's tune.
That's a great way of putting it.
As it's got everything I want to hear in a tune.
Yeah.
And I think
So
that,
instead of sitting there going, "Oh, it's mine, it's my baby,"
yeah,
how's it actually sounding? Come on, really?
It's
yeah, come on.
it's a hard thing. I always recommend the same thing. Like, if you can separate yourself from the creator and put yourself in the listener's shoes, it's not easy. Sometimes leaving it for a bit and coming back into it with a fresh perspective when you're not so attached can be
Yeah,
really good. I think as well, when I wasn't, sometimes when I was collaborating and I wasn't necessarily on the buttons, it was easier for me to do that as well.
Mm.
You know, I'd be there like firing ideas, notepad, and whatever else. For example, when I worked with Amit, a lot of the time in the early days, I couldn't engineer. You know, when we're doing some of the Tronic and Rage stuff, it was only kind of in the early 2000s that I started to kind of engineer, but I could do that then. If anything, I was that. A big part of my role was that, the listener perspective, the DJ perspective.
yeah.
Whereas if you're on the buttons and you're kind of, you're doing all that, maybe you're a bit more attached to it,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
it does. It does. It's like it's your time, isn't it? You've invested into it, and you feel like you don't want it to be a waste.
Yeah, exactly. So those tracks were made a few years back.
Mm.
What's the newer stuff saying? Are you still on that tip, or I know you said you're both doing stuff individually, and Steve, you said you've gone off on just an experimental journey and having fun with that,
Yeah.
and Rick's, you're looking to push your solo stuff and
Yeah.
whatnot. But as Seraphim, what's the vibe? Is there any newer ideas? Is it just the same kind of? Not that it needs to be any different, but is that the same sort of vibe with you guys, or are you looking to kind of develop it, or much of the same? What's the score moving forward?
Still melody driven. It's still melody driven, whether it's doesn't necessarily have to be, like Eastern Europe, Eastern influenced, but it would still be a case of, I guess I'd summarize what we sort of consider like generically Seraphim nowadays is sort of something a bit darker with melody.
Yeah, I feel like the rules are opening up a little bit. I mean, sort of like the Flowdown remix that we did, unofficial one. It is like it's probably in comparison, it's relatively atonal. It's things are in key, but it's a lot less musical, a lot more sort of just dark, gritty, sort of bass music. And then ominous as well. Again, it has got musical elements, but it's dark and gritty, and probably things that you might not expect to listen to. Maybe some of the earlier back catalogue, you'd be like, okay, is this a Seraphim tune? Because it doesn't really sound like it. But there are still other bits which are coming out which are like that. And I feel like that's probably just natural, right? We're both moving on with, it's just life. Everyone kind of you get stuck into a certain, like, I don't know, way of doing things, and then you feel like you want to get a bit more creative. You want to do something else. It's natural. It
Yeah.
comes. So I feel like it's some of that character is still there, but things are slightly changing a bit in places.
More open, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say we've always. I know it sounds strange to say we haven't always necessarily stuck to the same
No.
thing. As in,
No.
if you listen back to our big earlier releases, like and went through like maybe you'd see a lot of the stuff was a lot lighter and more melodical, but like a more happier, bouncier vibe. And then some of them more, yeah. So if you actually had listened through, you see that although everything is under Seraphim, there is a lot of variety in what we do. And it's always been the case because of the fact that we're just not into one type of music, and you just can't, you just make what you make, and whatever direction you're making of whatever direction your song's going, sometimes it'll be a case of, it's still Seraphim, but I'm on this vibe today.
Yeah.
It's Seraphim, but I'm on this vibe today. It's more like that. It's not like, right, I have to sit here and the tune has to sound like this.
No.
It has to have some guidelines, but just to sprinkle something, just to say it's us, But yeah, like I said, well, I'll speak for myself. But I mean, I'm probably said this a few times before. My background really. I mean, I listened to jungle. I wasn't a massive fan of jungle. I think I got into it from like one of my sisters. I think she's listening as well, Katrina. She had like Jungle Mania 94, something like that. I think it was called Jungle Mania 2. No, Jungle Mania 2. but I was in jungle, hip hop, 90s hip hop a lot. A little bit of drum and bass. Yeah, obviously garage, but I use all those elements now with the stuff which we're making. So everything, but you might want one production maybe more towards, let's say, garagey, for instance, like a Cool Box. If you Cool Box come out, and that was very garagey. To like, yeah, just I can't say anything else from my head, but okay, like Tahenia, which is grimy, very grimy. So you know, everything falls under Seraphim, but the actual influence is just whatever you're doing that day, whatever you feel. So
Yeah, I was gonna mention Cool Box as well, just to say that, just to make your point as well. You know that it doesn't have to be that, even though we have these sort of rough set of rules that we like to stick to. But yeah, you know, and you can sit there and go, today we're gonna make this kind of tune because why not? Everything's shaped up to just come out with this and really like it. So here's a Seraphim tune which is totally uncharacteristic to anything else. And that's cool. Happy with that.
Not Wildfire. So what's Soulfire dub, like
Yeah.
dub reggae one. But and then we've got. I don't think we mentioned it. Have we?
Yeah. Rocksteady.
We've got Rocksteady. We've got a vocal version of that, which was Aslan on it. So we've done. Yeah. It's not all. Yeah. There's different bits.
And I think I've got quite a bit to say on that, but there is a question that I will get to. If you can just hold tight for me, CP4C, I will get to that. I just want to kind of feed off of this for a second, because I think it's an important thing. I've always been a big advocate of what's your signature sound, what's your style, and I think I think to stand out in amongst something that's probably more accessible than it's ever been to make music, you know, in this day and age, what are we doing different to get noticed? And I think by having a distinct signature sound can be beneficial, but it can also be massively crippling, man. Like, it can really like restrict you. And I've been feeling this a lot lately, because when I had the Outrage thing, it ended up being this dark, hard drum and bass thing, and Outraged by Name, Outraged by Nature. And the sound was very kind of outrageous, and I got to a point where I felt quite restricted with that. With the Nomine thing, Nomine initially was like no rules, but straight away in the first few years I'd carved out such a distinct sound, you know, and then I fell straight back into a rule book. And then more recently I'm like, you know what, screw that. Like, if I want to make, because I like you guys, I like different styles, and I think, you know, a signature sound can still be something that is not so obvious, where there's something like, you know what, yeah, that's Seraphim. I can't quite, it's not like an ethnic blatant thing, but there's something there that I can't quite put my finger on, but it's signature of that producer or that artist. So that's kind of what I'm going, because otherwise, first of all, it's boring as hell. You know, doing the same thing over and over and over again. Like, you've got to stretch and challenge yourself as an artist, right? And I think we're all quick to say we don't rate that producer anymore because they don't sound like how they sounded 30 years ago. If they did sound like how they sounded 30 years ago, they'd probably have gone mad by now.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Because how much of this is expression? And we all get older. We all have different, you know, things that affects us every day. We're frustrated by different things. You know, we enjoy different things as we get older. So you can't be feeling the same. I'm not making the same music I was making 10 years ago, 15 years ago, because I'm not the same person. So yeah, I totally get it. I mean, there's always things to be said about it, right? That you have if you've got a signature sound and you're giving yourself limitations, and if you've got limitations, it can help with creativity. But at the same time, it might, if you end up being bored with it, then it's going to completely stunt it. So I guess I'm all for, you know, there's nothing wrong with having a new sound, but there's also nothing wrong with throwing a curveball every now and then as well.
I'm still
what's that? They made this? What's going on? It's completely different. It's like, yeah,
don't get me wrong.
You know?
I'm still a massive advocate of it. I think anyone coming through, if you can put your stamp on something and people can identify it, I would say that is a really good thing to achieve.
Yeah.
But like you say, if you feel to turn it on its head and throw a spanner in it, or to evolve to what's the next chapter of me as the artist, then that's okay too. You know, don't feel, because if you think about what art is expression, like you said, and freedom. And if you no longer feel free, is it art?
It's work.
You know, it's, yeah.
I wouldn't make music to people's for people's expectations, is what I'd say. I mean, as in at the sort of when you get established, I wouldn't necessarily make music say, "Oh, I'm known for doing this, so I've got to." I don't feel that you shouldn't have to feel like you think you have to keep making this, keep making this, keep making this. I mean, a few of our music, a few of our tracks haven't been Seraphim tunes. They've been individual tunes, and it's just been like, do you know what? We'll put this under Seraphim because
Yeah.
it's got a slight something there to it, but it's not. We didn't make it with the intention of being Seraphim. So what I'm saying is, you should just do you to a certain extent. But again, it depends on what level you're at. Yes, it's good to have your own individual sound so that people can recognise that, and that will then instead give you your identity, and it can do you a lot of good. But I think you should get to a point where you should just decide to make music, if that makes sense. And then you may make 3 tunes which are you, as in what people expect you to make. But in the next 2 tunes you may not. That's cool. And you make them, and you just, the people get them tunes. I get these for myself, sort of thing. And you can just keep yourself interested. I think the main thing is to keep yourself interested and invested in yourself, and not feel too much pressure to have to make a certain thing. Because I mean, also I'd say as well, when we started getting into doing like the Middle Eastern sound thing, it was a lot of people have been doing it. People saying that's getting old, it's getting played out. But that was what we were doing, and we've stuck to it all this way through. But not because we felt that we had to keep doing it, but it's our thing. So, and I'm fairly good at it, if I can say. So, just, yeah, I'd say just keep making music, and you'll get your collection of tunes. You'll get your style. You'll get your identity. So will probably happen by accident. You can try and force it, but you'll probably get it by accident. Once you start having a set of tunes, all of a sudden you'll be like, do you know what, this lot could make like an EP or an album. This lot sounds like a certain thing. So try not to overthink it, try and overforce it. Just make good music and music you enjoy, I'd say.
I think, out of all that, I think there is like a question that I've got about at what point do you say that you've got the sound that you're known for, and that you're actually safe to go out and start, experimenting with other things. I mean, because I've found this. I've made some tunes which are like just totally different, like way out there, and to a point where I'm like, I don't even want to put this under my own solo alias because this is just completely different from that. And then where does that go? Like, at what point are you established enough where you can go, you know what, sod this, it's fine, I'm going to whack it out anyway because I'm not going to create another alias for it because it's only like one piece of work. So do I put that under like the solo alias anyway and just not care? I think the older I get, the less I do care.
I think so. I think like, I guess it's tough, isn't it? Because like, obviously we're trying to get traction, we're trying to get noticed. Let's face it, like we're making music, we do want to get some traction and whatever we deem to be success. Of course we make music for ourselves, but at the same time it's nice to get DJ support, it's nice to get stuff on labels. Let's face it, that's why that's probably why we got into it, or not why we got into it. We got into it for the love, but also we wanted to be a part of that scene, that culture, in that way.
Something you enjoy, and you want to share it with people.
Yeah.
You want to get as many people as possible to listen to it, and hope that it resonates with people as much as it does with you.
So if you're getting traction by doing a certain thing, and then you kind of like, oh, do I risk compromising my signature sound and upsetting my listeners, or does it fit under the name? I think, if you were to constantly jump around before you're kind of at a certain level, I don't know what that level is, maybe you'll probably sacrifice traction because people like to put you in a box. That is how it is. That's how you're discovered when you're in a box. You're discovered. If you're all over the place, there's less chance of you being discovered because people move in tribes. That's just how it is.
It is.
Right?
It's like, at what point is that? At what point do you go, all right, now people are listening to me like as an artist as opposed to they hear my tunes in a genre? And now at that point, I suppose, is when you can go, right, here you go, here's some other stuff then that you might be interested in, which isn't what you know me for. I guess I kind of answered my own question, but I guess that probably makes more sense.
Well, there's no rules, is there? But at the same time, you kind of, if you're getting traction, you probably want to probably want to protect
Yeah.
that and keep the following that you have, or not, or just say screw it, this is for me, I don't care.
I mean, the
That's
confirmation
not.
comes from the listener, doesn't it? Really, as to whether you can get away with making different styles of music and they'll accept it as part of you. Some artists, yeah, you can only go down one lane. That's all you really want to hear from them.
Yeah.
Other artists, you know, they can make different types of music, and you know, and you'll listen to it. It's just, I think that there is just confirmation from the
Yeah.
listener. So
I mean,
you
it's,
just have to gauge from that really as to how much you want to push something a little different, like a little side project or a little different sound. I think you just have to, if the people, your listeners, are receptive to it, then wicked. If they're not, then you need to make that decision on how you want to approach it. Then, you
yeah.
know, that's
That's the thing, isn't it? All this is different. So, you know, some of them are going to respect that. Otherwise, we're like, this isn't what I came here for.
Yeah,
I think that ultimately, though, look, it has to be about you, you know, because otherwise, it's like when, you know, you're like, you've got these ambitions to work for certain labels, and you find yourself writing for that label, which is not a bad thing, but it can be. Like, I know, because I know when we spoke to you guys had Nomine Sound on the radar, and you said you wanted to specifically write something for the label. I think I remember Rick saying blatantly, we were like, that's on the hit list, and we want to write something specifically for it. I'm not saying you compromise what you were doing or what you
yeah,
believed in, but that can be a real head fuck in a way where you're like pulled around from label to label. You might get a sniff from this label, a sniff from that label. All of a sudden, you lose your identity. You're trying too hard to be something that doesn't come natural, maybe so much. And the same if like you're jumping around stylistically and you're losing that focus. It can be loads of fun, and you can learn from that. I think experimenting with different genres and styles, you learn so
Yeah,
much by jumping into different
100%.
things. Whether you unleash that as this kind of random kind of body of work, you can't, you know, there's no right or wrong answer really, you know. But ultimately, I guess my point is, it has to be about you, because one of the biggest problems we all face is falling out of love with the process.
yeah,
You know, when we first get into this, we're making music, we forget to go toilet, we forget to eat, and we're there for 15 hours. Nothing else matters
yeah.
apart from that moment. You lose that the minute you start to get DJs playing the music, or you get a gig. You all of a sudden your mind is outside of the studio thinking about who's going to like it, what record label, and then that goes further to the point where you're getting pulled around. I should be doing this, my listeners want this, and you can never be present. It's very difficult to be present in the studio, and then we fall out of love with the process, and then we question our whole existence as a producer. We're
It's
like,
a funny one, isn't it? Because you fight all that time to get to a certain position. Then once you get there, you have to try and navigate how to stay there.
Mm.
You know.
but
Um,
has to just be for you though, man. You have to, because if you fall out of love with it and it's too, and you're just not there mentally, it's not fun, man. You know, it's like it becomes this chore.
Yeah.
We got into it because we loved making noise,
yeah,
and
I
I
think
think
that it kind of goes back to what something you were saying earlier as well, is that like, once you got that pressure, like the first time, because I've been here before, so old that you know, the first time around that I felt that pressure. You know, stuff started getting noticed, and I was like, okay, now I need to continue to make stuff which people are going to like, and that pressure ruins some of the creative process. It certainly does. Um, that pressure is not there now because I'm older and I've been here before, and I know that it's just it ruins you, and it's strange because it's not something that you can choose to get rid of. It's it's weird. It's like an anxiety that used to affect you and now doesn't.
mm,
Um, it's a weird one, but yeah, I totally get that. I totally understand that. You know, you have that first time you get noticed, and the pressure from it can just ruin it totally. I've got no advice other than just to say,
get
you know,
old.
like just
Just
try
wait
and
till you get old.
get older. Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
say that you need to decide what it is you're looking to get out of music. You know, because you may just want to just make your music and send it out to your mates around you, and that do you.
that
Um,
stage is the best
yeah, that
stage.
stage, yeah, that stage is the best stage. Then you know, obviously, if you can move on to your next stage where you know the radio DJs start playing your stuff, and then I guess that'd be the sort of mid ground where you kind of decide what you want to get out of it, whether you're happy. Just yeah, I think you need to decide how far you want to go, that will, I think, ultimately sometimes affect your decisions you make and how happy you are making music, because obviously as it gets more serious, you sort of feel like you have more commitments and more things to do. But I think ultimately you yourself need to decide how invested you want to be, and as in to get to a certain place with your music, which, you know, a goal you've set yourself. Because
Yeah,
I think
I'll
yeah.
be honest. I'm not sure I believe many people. I mean, some that say to me they don't want to go all the way once they get into this. You might there's a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, nah." I think a lot. We all have that. At one point, we want to be at the top of the game. A lot of
I
us,
like
and I
like
think, you know, let's face it, we'd love, because, you know, especially when you do start to get some traction, you want to, because you've entered something, you're doing well, and you want to kind of maybe succeed to the highest possible level, and then it all feels a bit closer, and then yeah, you're like, I could do this. And I just think, regardless to whatever, you know, whatever that is, you've got to, I think, find ways and methods of bringing yourself back into loving making music, because, you know, even if you distinctively choose. Now, for me, and probably for you, we got into it for the love, nothing else mattered. And then, oh, hang on, people kind of like what I'm doing here. And then all of a sudden, the ambitions and the goalposts move, because that's how it is, it's progression. All of a sudden, you know, youngsters taking your music for a compilation. And, fuck, youngster, that's crazy. And then all of a sudden, it opens and I take a release, and all of a sudden, everything's wide open. And then your goalposts move. And then, you know, so you kind of, before you know it, you're at that point anyway where your mind is probably not in the place of where it was when it first started. So I think just to develop ways of like pulling yourself back in before you get old, if you can, you know,
yeah.
is beneficial, because it can just tear the fun out of it.
Yeah.
You know, it really can.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, talking about that, if you want to go to our early days, yeah, it was a case of once the momentum was going, we tried to chuck ourselves in as many labels as we
Yeah.
could, just because it was the time to do it. And then obviously and try and stack up as many releases in a short space of time, so that we had like 2 years of stuff going out, but it all got signed, you know, within like 6 months. And so that just, so it may look like the momentum was going, but it was all like pre-stacked up stuff. So yeah, I'm not quite sure my point here was something, but yeah, it was. Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, our mindset and trying to be a new artist. Yeah, but we definitely have had like good backing from, like, for instance, you've been there, Raf as well from day
Yeah,
dot,
big up, Raf, big up.
and we've been around good. We've been around good people all the time who help support us, and it's I think we haven't really had a stressful journey, as in not saying we've been spoon fed everything we got, but because we've been a bit older, I think as we've got into we didn't feel so much stress. It was like, yeah, cool, we've done this now, we've achieved this. If everything was to go tomorrow, I'm cool. Like, that's the honest truth. Like,
Yeah.
if no one to another single one of our tunes, I'm like, bro, look, we did 3 years of some good stuff, you know. And that attitude there, I think, is what helps us sort of just not get too involved in, not the politics and music, but just to keep making music and doing what we're doing, because genuinely just make it now because we like making music. It's in our DNA, you know. So I can only talk for myself there, but yeah, I mean, I would say definitely, if anyone out there, if you're trying to get yourself out and about, as soon as a little window comes, grab it, just milk that window, do what you can with it, and get as much traction in a short space of time as you can. If something starts moving for you, move with it, you know. Don't take your foot off the pedal till you feel you can. That'd be my advice to say to anybody who's getting, you know, their feet wet and saying, keep cracking out,
That's an
and
interesting. You've opened. I won't go into that can of worms that you've just opened there. That's an interesting one, because that's another thing where you feel like, you know, can you take your foot off the gas ever? You know what I mean? That's, you
like,
know, which is, you know, dangerous, very dangerous. But you're right. You know, it's like, I
a
think
lot
you
of
just
sharks
got
out there, a lot of people ready, yeah, to take your spot.
but yeah, now
Yep.
telling me you got to get on it.
Yeah.
You can't let up.
People are
That's a
hungry.
whole different
People
conversation.
are hungry, and I don't blame them either.
There are some questions. I don't want to not get into the questions. So sorry, CP4C. Sorry, I've been up since 5 o'clock. My brain's mush. Hey, what would you advise if you produced a track and you need to decide to send it to a DJ, friends, other producers, labels, or upload it on SoundCloud? Do you follow a certain ranking? So I guess if I'm correct, is it like an order of like who gets what and when?
Uh, I think yes to an extent, but avoid yeah. There's like 20 people I think I send music out to, like 20 DJs, and they are, you know, from radio to club DJs, and it's just the way it's just the way it is that helps out
Do they all get
demand.
it at the
If people want
same time?
music
Do you send it at the same time to them?
pretty much, unless I'm just being scatty and I forget if I that's the only time I don't. I just send it all out because it's a numbers game. Like, you know, you put something out, you need to give it to as many people as you can. So not everyone's going to play it.
Yep.
So, but you know, you get 5 or 6 um, who are, you know, relatively well known playing at the same time. Happy days. So it is a numbers game. I think you shouldn't be too what's the word I'm looking, possessive about the music, being like, oh, I want it to dub plate, no one can have this sort of thing. I mean, you can. Yeah, I'm just telling you how I go about, how we go about what we do. We've got maybe 20 DJs, and they all get it at the same time, and just send it out, see what sticks, I guess, if you want to say it like that. The more you can get out there, because you're always going to be making music, always making more music. You may think you're sitting on your best tune ever, but come 6 months' time, you'll be like, oh, this is my best tune. So maybe not be too, that's what I'm looking for, not invested in it, but holding it onto yourself. And I'd say just get your music out. Try and get as many ears around it as you can. Yeah, whether it's your friends playing it, whether that's to labels. I mean, we could talk the labels things. I say is a bit different, and big DJs. You know, we always say at the point always comes about. You need to make sure your music's on point because you only sometimes get a couple of
Well, this
shots.
is it, right? That's what I was going to say. It depends what level this guy's at. You know, this guy could be quite early, in which case, you know, it depends. For me, I'd probably, if you were early on, I would be, yeah, sending it out to mates, everyone who's interested in it. And yeah, I mean, if it's relatively, you know, mature, the tune, whack it up on SoundCloud. Try and get as much feedback as you possibly can. Like, you want to expose that to people and see, you know, what you know, criticism you're going to get back. Even if it's bad, it's all information for you to tell you, you know, how your tune is. So if you're quite early on, then yeah, you know, just get it out there, spread it everywhere. And back in the day, I'll put that, you know, up online and just chuck it on the forum and go, it's everyone's have it, and whoever likes it, then sweet. But yeah, I mean, if you're a bit further on, everything that Rick has just said is spot on.
And I say free downloads, you pay to gauge how your music's doing. If you want to buy your downloads, whatever medium you want to stick them on, like just put out some free downloads. Everyone likes a free tune, you know. And if it's a banger, then you know you probably get hit up in your messages like, "Oh, bro, you got any more tunes?" Or not, bro, sorry, I shouldn't say. Yeah, you know, hey, you got any more tunes?
The fear might come from if you like, you know what labels can be like, and certain DJs, if they know everyone's got it, or it can compromise an opportunity potentially. You know, record labels, some are quite particular about who else has got this, who else has heard it, and if you've already sent it out, then you might feel like you'll lose an opportunity because it's already out there, sort of thing. And I do get it, because the whole thing of tracks being leaked and shit like that, it doesn't help these sort of things. And in fact, that's had a massive negative impact on dubplate culture. The fact that things get leaked and how quick and how disposable music's become, and stuff like that. People want it to strike while the iron's hot. So as soon as they hear it, they want a buy link or a stream link. Or is it then deemed too old in the world we live in now? Because if they hear it in a mix too early, and it's not available to go and listen to on Spotify in that moment, it has that ship sailed sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And it's a weird, we've been forced into this, you know, this situation.
Even leaking tunes doesn't have, I think, the impact it used to, because of the fact how fast music comes and goes. Like obviously, like for instance, now if say somebody did leak one of your tunes, the scene moves so quick that even it's still even forgotten about like 2 months later,
It's mad, isn't
you
it?
know, unfortunately. Yeah, whereas back then, you know, because you've got that tune which is leaked, you sneakily going to be playing that like all your like you go when you go to your house parties and so forth for ages and ages. But nowadays, if you did have tune, maybe you play for a couple of weeks, then you know you've got
Yeah.
a whole new set of music comes by 3-4 weeks time. So even dub plate culture and leaking is, I think, has evolved as well and changed, and doesn't necessarily hold the same value as it did possibly, I don't know, you know, 15 years, 10 years ago.
I'm trying to change that. I don't know how successful I'll be. So I'm like, obviously with Nomine Sound, it's been a bit difficult because, you know, there was a big hold up because of me. And then all of a sudden, loads of music, and like, you know, I'm not able to even give it to certain DJs too much in advance as I'd like to. I'd like to give people a couple of months. I'm not into this 2-day promo
No,
bullshit. Hate it.
Yeah.
I honestly get promos now from some labels, big labels as well, 2 days before the release date, in the middle of the week.
yeah.
By the Friday it's out, and I'm like, what can I
What
even
am I
do
supposed to
with
do with
this?
it?
What am I
Yeah,
supposed to do?
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Obviously, I'll play it
I'm,
the
I'm,
same way. I'll support the label, but come on,
Yeah.
like,
yeah,
I've got
we
gigs coming
do a
up.
monthly radio show, so you know, I need
Yeah.
at least 4 weeks. I need at least 4 weeks. There's no point in giving me like a week on something because I may have just finished recording my set for our show. We might be finished recording our show that week. Means you got, you know, 4 weeks down the line. It's old.
So I'm
Yeah.
trying. So what I'm trying to do now, I'm trying to get people stuff a couple of months in advance. But I'm saying to them, yo, this is not one of your 2-day promos. You've got a couple of months on this. Do me a favor. If you like it, rinse it because you've got 2 months. Like, and I'm trying to get people into the habit of, and the problem is as well, there's so much, I guess there's so much choice out there that a lot of DJs, they play a brand new set every time they play because there's so much music to choose from,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, so we were up against that as well. But I am trying because I do miss that whole build up, you know, let people hear it over and over. Like, you know, when Youngster was on Minimal Mondays, if we keep it kind of dubstep,
yeah,
he would play the same tunes week in, week out,
yeah.
to the
No,
point where if you didn't hear a certain tune, you'd be disappointed. You didn't get bored of it. You were like,
yeah,
oh, I didn't play it.
yeah.
And it
Mm.
became this thing. And he created anthems like that. You know, he played Blind Man over and over and over and over. And it became what it became because the likes of Youngster and other DJs were playing it. And they created the anthems by repetition. We don't have that now. We don't have we don't have time for repetition. You know what I mean?
I remember saying like, if you play Henya one more time, we're going to do you a VIP. Yeah, yeah,
But that's
yeah,
because I'm old school. I would play a tune
mm,
like, you know, cool. I'm not going to not play it if
yeah.
it's out the day after it's
Oh,
listening
it's
to it.
up.
But if I get it, if I get a hold of a track on dub and I love it, I will rinse that for years. I will rinse it. If I love it, I will rinse it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm trying to bring a bit of that back in. I don't know how successful I'll be, and
Let's give it
obviously,
a try. Let's try it out. Let's try it out.
well, I am.
Yeah,
I'm trying it. You know.
yeah,
And I guess it kind of is, certainly with my drum and bass, because I'm doing more drum and bass at the moment. You know, I'm thankfully getting quite a bit of support on Call FM, and most of the DJs on Call FM, they have monthly shows. So, like you're saying, Rick, like if I was only doing the 2-day thing,
hmm.
I probably wouldn't be getting that DJ support. I'm trying to get it a month, 2 months in advance, so they can at least think about putting it in their radio shows because I come from radio pirate. I want people to play my music on radio. Like I'm a believer of that. I think it's great. I like that. I like people to play my music on radio, you know? So
Yeah, yeah.
we'll see.
But we're the same. We're from like that pirate radio.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
That's our roots.
yeah.
Yeah.
So our roots. Yeah, yeah.
There is another question. Creative chains and self-pressure would really drag the creative. So this is based on what we were talking earlier, the creativity down. You always get more conscious in life, doesn't it? And this should change at least. So I think that was when we were talking about signature sounds, and as we evolve as humans, then things will kind
Yeah.
of naturally evolve anyway. For those that just joined or watched it on the playback, if you watch it on the playback, chances are I was going to say the Henya EP then. The Sitars and String EP is out now, but it's not if you're listening live. It's out tomorrow. It'll be on all streaming platforms and digital platforms. It's wicked. You've got Sitars and Strings, Echoes, and Saritu Api. What is it?
Swara happy, yeah.
Suara Api. Nearly.
I don't think it's
Suara Api.
going to be
You
just
got
you, mate.
a
I
name,
imagine
right?
there's loads of people
You
will be
got
like,
a
what?
name,
What's this song?
um, But yeah, so what we got here, I always try to rinse on repeat when tracks are emailed to me. Shout out to those that get them out in weeks or months prior to release date. Yeah, I do get it as well, man. Like, people are up against, they want streaming numbers, and you know, make the way you make money is different. It's not like you whack out a couple of thousand vinyls and you make some cash, you know, like that. The things have changed, and there is money in streaming. There's not, you have to get a lot of it, but there is money, you know. And I know that a lot of labels are conscious of things getting tired too early and stuff like that. You know, I do get it, but it's just, it is a shame, and I'm just old, obviously.
Big up Shapeshifter as well. I see he's the one who put that.
Yeah, big
Big
up
him up.
Shapeshifter. Well, wicked. If there's any last minute questions, I've got my dinner on the table. But I want to say a massive, I'll give you an opportunity to ask a couple of last minute questions, but I just want to say a massive thank you again, guys. It's a wicked release. I think it's going to do well. I mean, it's already, I sent it out with the Basura EP a couple of months ago. So, you know, or at least a month and a half ago. So people have had it for a while. And the feedback's been nice. And I think it's going to do well. And thank you so much. And long may it continue.
Thank you. Big up to everybody involved on the Nomine sound, all the great artists we got on there. Respect for trusting us with your music as well. What else like to say? Keep an eye on our SoundCloud, because I think we might put up, if there's a demand, people want that Flow Down remix. People are playing it, so we're thinking of like possibly putting that out for you guys if you just want it, you know. Keep an eye on the SoundCloud. Just a little plug here. And if you want to hear from us, sort of like we do a monthly show on Subtle Radio, last Monday of every month, and that's 9 till 10 UK time. So we were on this Monday. So there's a couple. Got Basura on. Basura's on with us this month.
Basura's everywhere.
Yeah. We've got a guest mix this Monday.
Should be.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm a bit reluctant to say send Rick your demos, because he just overloads me with flipping and I can't keep up. It's just all good music, and so. But you know, send your demos to Rick. Don't send it to me, because I'm super long.
I guess I could officially say now. Yeah, I've been doing the A&R for Nomine Sound. So I've never really put anything out there, to be honest with you, just because I like just keeping it a bit low profile.
If you open those floodgates, I mean, that's it now. It's too late, because these get decent. We get decent views on the playback. Yeah, that's it. The floodgates. So hit Rick up, inbox Rick RNS, and just send him your demos, and then he'll hammer me, and that'll be
All right. So and of course, obviously, big yourself up, man, for the opportunity. It's been amazing to do it, because I've always had an idea of getting a collective of sounds which are fairly in sync. It's not the word I'm looking for, but you know, basically do what I'm doing. So big up.
Well, could say, big up to my mum. She's just locked in. Big up, mum. Big up, Menem as well. I see you, mate. And also big up D Tempo, lads. There's over 500 likes on that video, and I didn't even know there's that many people who was interested in 140. So big up.
Do you know what?
Yeah, I got it. Like,
those lads, they're smashing it. They're massively supportive. They're always supporting this stuff.
Great
and you know,
guys as well. We've chilled with them.
Legends.
Proper legit.
They said they want to hear a DJ. They want to hear a Seraphim DJ set. They said they keep bumping into you, and they said, "Oh yeah, we need to make that happen." So let's put it out. Let's manifest it.
Yeah.
Them guys are getting. They're putting on parties. You know, hit them up and say, "Yo."
Yeah, I mean they are doing bits. What they do is really good for the dubstep scene, because it needed something like that, because they do show a light on what's happening. If you want to know what's currently happening, you want to check out their podcast. 100%. That's a good one. Saying what's happening out there. Yeah, check out the Deep Tempo podcast they do. I mean, everyone knows about it anyway, but that'll keep you up to date. And I think they've also got, I'll plug this for them, they've got Patreon as well. And I know they do like a hardback book or a e-book? It's not e-book. It's
they call it like a zine, don't they? I think it's all pictures.
Head over there as well and just support them guys as well, because they're champion the sound 140, you know.
And anyone that's like a drum and bass or jungle snob like I once was, I urge you to go and listen to some 140 or dubstep, because you'll be pleasantly surprised. I guarantee you. There's a lot of really good stuff out there, and anyone that's thinking about promoting, just do it and hit us up. We'll come and play.
Yes.
Because there's loads of amazing music and loads of amazing artists. There just needs to be some more nights, as far as I'm concerned. And it's hard, obviously, because it's tough out there. But
Book us. Come book us.
wicked. Thank you very much, guys. Congratulations on the release. Thank you so much for the release. Big shout out to everyone watching live and the playback. And go check out Sitars and Strings by Seraphim on all good streaming platforms and digital platforms tomorrow, which is the 23rd, right? Or is it 23rd?
That's it, yeah.
23rd
Big up,
February.
boss man. Thank you for having us back again.
Yeah.
It's an honour, mate. It's sick.
Anytime. Thank you very much, lads. Have a good one. I'll chat to you soon, yeah?
And you,
See you
take
soon.
care.
Easy.
Cheers.
Easy.
Bye now. Peace.
Peace.